Doom has been ported to literally everything. That is a statement about as cliche as saying that Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually Doki Doki Panic, but it's true. Doom has been ported to almost everything in existence, whether it be an official port or a bootleg. So as a follow-up to my review on Doom 64, I'll be taking a look at a few oddball Doom ports, ranging from the decently competent to the flat-out atrocious. And since I got it out of my system in the last review, I won't be bashing modern military shooters from 10 years ago. This is strictly a Doom review and not me venting about shitty games from my pre-teen years. So let's get right to it. First up is Doom for Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was capable of some 3D here and there, Star Fox being a good example, but the idea of porting Doom to the SNES sounds like an impossible feat. But nonetheless, Doom was indeed ported to the SNES. Yeah, the end result leaves a lot to be desired. Look, just because you can port Doom to Super Nintendo doesn't mean that you should. I mean, back in the day this might have been a good way to play Doom if you didn't have a PC, but golly, that performance. I actually got a headache just from playing the first level. It's that bad, and nothing is worse than a game that causes headaches. By extension, it also controls incredibly poorly as well. I would definitely avoid this port if I were you. Next up is the 3DO port. All things considered, the 3DO wasn't as much of a flop as you may think, as it did ship over 2 million units during its 3-year lifespan. But good luck finding someone who owned the damn thing. Doom got a port for the 3DO that was produced within a short 10-week time span by a single person, mind you. And much like the version on SNES, this game has a bad frame rate. One cool thing, however, is that it features a totally remade soundtrack, employing a more synth rock styled sound with industrial undertones. Say what you will about this port, but the music is fucking fantastic. Even better than the original score in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'd just take this music and play it over Doom 64 if I were you. It's not like you're gonna get your hands on a 3DO anytime soon anyways. I did watch a 2015 stream from the developer of this port where she goes over how it was made, and it's a really interesting watch. I'll leave a link below for those who are interested. The Sega 32X was a horrible misstep by Sega before the Saturn came in and completely ruined them. The 32X port of Doom is particularly infamous, not because it performs badly, it actually performs decently, believe it or not. It all comes back to the music. If you're expecting the same MIDI metal as the PC version, think again, as your ears will be bombarded by this. Yeah, sure makes me want to rip and tear. Rip and tear some goddamn Charmin Ultra Strong, that is. How do you make a soundtrack this bad? Did someone not stand up and say, hey, you know this soundtrack sounds like diarrhea, maybe we should fix it? Oh, who am I kidding? They were probably pressed for time or something like that. Still, if you mute the soundtrack and play the OG score over this, it isn't half bad. Doom for GBA was something I was expecting to hate. I've seen gameplay of it, and the blood has been replaced with green goo. At Doom's Gate doesn't play until level 24 and sounds like a goddamn 8-bit disco song. And I mean, it's the GBA for crying out loud. It's similar hardware-wise to the SNES, so this can't be good at all. But I was pleasantly surprised to find out it's actually not half bad. It controls halfway decently, runs alright, and overall would have been a great way of playing Doom portably back in the early 2000s, considering there really wasn't any alternative. Doom 2 also got a port as well, and I'm sure that was more of the same. So yeah, overall, it's not half bad aside from the bullshit censorship. A Doom game without proper gore is like a racing sim where you can only drive crappy family cars. Can you imagine driving a 1999 Toyota Corolla with the hubcaps missing in a Gran Turismo game? God, that would be horrible. Heading on back to my favorite console, the PS1, Doom also understandably got a port to this groundbreakingly popular console, and it's actually one of the best console ports of the game barring the recent re-releases to PS4, Xbox, and Switch. It comes packed with both Doom 1 and 2, and aside from some slight visual enhancements and the soundtrack, it's mostly intact. Yeah, sadly much like Doom 64, this port eschews the metal for an atmospheric score. Yeah, you're gonna have to play your own music if you don't like that. I'll also be looking at Final Doom briefly, which isn't a port, but instead a level pack featuring some of the most difficult levels created by mankind. This is like the lost levels of Doom. It feels more like a bad ROM hack than an official game. I would only recommend this to the most die-hard Doom aficionados, but for the rest of us, skip it. One minor thing that's annoying about this game is that by default you shoot with a triangle button. Thankfully you can change that, but still, I don't know who greenlit that. I can't think of a single other game where you shoot with the triangle button. Doom also got ported to the Atari Toilet, the Sega botched launch extravaganza, downloadable ports to the 7th gen home consoles, and so on and so forth. But there are also unofficial ports as well. I can't really speak on most of these, but yes, Doom has been ported to Calculator, and yes, your math teacher will definitely hate it. Doom is just such a masterpiece of a game that it totally deserves the bevy of ports that it has received over the years. We can only wait until you can play Doom on a public urinal, or an ATM machine. Wait, that's actually real? Well shit, someone needs to do the former because who doesn't want to play Doom while they make lemonade? All these weird ports vary in quality, but are solid proof that Doom will always be the best FPS game series of all time. And thank the lords I managed to go this entire review without mentioning that game series. You know the one. Pinky promised that the next time I talk about an FPS game, I won't mention the duty unless absolutely necessary. I hope I won't have to bring out the cynicism again, but I can't absolutely promise that won't happen. So I have an interesting history with Doom, as I've never properly played the original Doom until this year. I played a lot of it while I was on vacation last month down in Alabama, and before you send me your tired cliché backwoods incest jokes, this was the beaches and palm trees part of Alabama, so spare me your unfunny redneck jokes. Anyways, when I wasn't out by the ocean or in the pool, I was in my condo playing OG Doom. I've of course always had respect for Doom beforehand and used to watch Doom mod videos from a YouTuber called Aquarius199, but I wouldn't actually play Doom until 2015 when I found a port of the first few levels on Newgrounds. The first Doom game I actually ever spent money on was Doom Eternal, which I think is a fantastic game continuing the formula set in Doom 2016. So I've been all over the place with Doom. And after the unexpected masterpiece that was Doom 64, I'm hooked on the series. It's just so addicting, and honestly, there is no arguing that Doom is the best FPS series of all time. The hype's just there for a reason.